Okay. This is just a video just to go over these problems from this assignment. The first one up here, use implicit differentiation to find the derivative. Write the line tangent to the point at 2, 3. For the equation 3x squared minus 4y cubed equals negative 96. So this is just one we just derived through the power rule, as you can see here. And then when we solve for dy dx, we end up with 6x over 12y squared, which simplifies to x over 2y squared. And then we're going to find the slope at 2 and 3. So we end up with 2 over 18. So 2 over 2 times 3 squared simplifies to 1/9. And over here is your tangent line. Okay. So I'm attaching these to the video, just basically the first 6 questions here. The second 6 on the back, I have different workspace for. But for one, it's just asking you just to find the slope in terms of dy dx. So anytime we derive y, we're adding in that dy dx. So we just apply the power rule in step 1 and then solve for our dy dx, which is 6x squared over 10y to the 4th power. That should simplify to 3x squared over 5y. That should be 5y to the 4th power. That won't show, but I just wrote it down wrong. Okay. That should be 3x squared over 5y to the 4th power. I'll try to create a different, I'll send you a different document for that. Second one, again, it's just power rule. So dy dx is just negative 1x squared over y squared. Power rule, solve for dy dx. Same thing with number 3. Power rule. Now on this one, you got to consolidate 10y and negative 5, which I moved over to the left. So dy dx on this one equals 6x squared over 10y and the derivative of 5. So it would be 10y plus 5. On 4, again, it's just power rule. But both 2y cubed and 4y, the derivatives just become 6y to the squared plus 4. So we solve for dy dx, and then everything here is divisible by 2, so I cut everything in half. Okay. 5 includes product rule with the negative 3xy. So derivative of 5x cubed is 15x squared. The derivative of negative 3xy is negative 3x dy dx, because the derivative of y is 1. And that's minus 3y, because the derivative of x is 1. Solve for dy dx. And everything's divisible by 3. And then on 6, again, you got power rule, and product rule. Okay. So did I make a mistake here too? No, that's all set. That should be 4x though. Yep. That should be 4xy squared. This one's right. And you should take the 2 out of here. So the 2 doesn't need to be here because the derivative of 2x squared is 4x. So in 6, take the square out of the numerator, which I'll send it different up. I'll attach something different to what I send you. And then for let me just see here. Okay, just the photo's not showing. Hold on. Okay, so what I listed here is this is just an answer key. You'll have this attachment. I'll go over each problem. Okay, so for 7 and 8, here's just kind of what we go through. There's a lot of product rules here. So in 7, you can kind of just see the work. So I break 3x squared y squared up into 6xy squared. Okay, then I take the derivative of y, which is 2y times 3x squared, and I got to add a dy dx in there. 4x becomes 8x, minus 4xy becomes negative 4x times 1, dy dx. And then that's plus negative 4y times 1. Okay, and then I just solve for dy dx. I put those terms over here on the left, which was this term, the 6x squared y. And this one should be plus 4x, which I got correct down here. Then 8x, negative 4y, and 6x y squared gets moved over to the right. Solve for dy dx. Now you can factor on these. You got a greatest common factor in the numerator, which is 2. And your greatest common factor in the denominator is 2x. So the 2's cancel. And this is what we're left with. Okay. Just double checking these. Okay, so an 8, 10x squared. I did 2xy here with the dy dx and just plus y squared because the derivative of x is 1. And now you got to do product rule here, 15x squared y cubed. Okay, no dy dx required. Plus 5x cubed, 3y squared, dy dx. Then I put it in one term here. Group the terms with the dy dx on the left side. Solve for dy dx. Okay, so there's no GCF in the numerator. And in the denominator, your GCF is xy, so I pulled that out. Okay. So on 9 and 10, display it. On 9, yeah, 6x squared comes from the derivative of what I get? 2x cubed derivative is 6x squared. And then with the 3xy plus 1, you're going to do chain rule. So it's 2, 3xy plus 1. And then over here is just the derivative of what's in here, which is 3x dx, dy dx plus 3y. Okay. Then I just I put these two in the one binomial, and then I FOILed 6xy plus 2 by what you see in here. And this is what you see. Group the dy dx together. That's the 18x squared y plus 6x on the bottom here. And then the numerator is 6x squared minus 18xy squared minus 6y. And then your GCF in your numerator is 6. In the denominator, it's 6x. So the sixes cancel, and this is what we're left with. Okay. So these are more difficult ones you're seeing. X squared becomes 2x. And then in here, we just have the power rule again. Okay, and over here, what you see over here is just a chain rule. Okay, so it's 8xy cubed plus 3y squared times 4x squared dy dx. So 4x squared and 3y squared is 12x squared y squared. I multiplied this binomial by 2 and got 8x squared y cubed plus 2. Foiled it out. Ended up with these 4 terms. 2 of them had the dy dx. So that goes on the bottom here. And then I moved 16x cubed y squared over to the left. 16xy cubed got moved over to the left. So that's what you see in here. And then your GCF in your numerator is 2x. Your GCF in your denominator is 24x squared y squared. So 2 24ths is 1/12. Okay, so the 12, and then you got x. The x's here cancel, so that's why this 12 is 12xy squared. Okay. And then 11 and 12. Excuse me. So 11 and 12. The trig one's interesting. Derivative sign is cosine, but you got to do a chain rule there. So the chain rule, the derivative of 2x squared y cubed is 4xy cubed plus 3y squared, 2x squared dy dx. Derivative of 3x cubed is 9x squared. Then here I just applied the distributive property. I got 4xy cubed times the cosine of that angle. 3 times 2 times x squared times y squared becomes 6x squared y squared. So this is the term that contains the dy tx. So to solve for dy dx, we're going to take 9x squared, subtract the 4xy cubed cosine 2x squared y cubed, and divide it by 6x squared y squared cosine 2x squared y cubed. And I left, you could have factored out, I could have factored out an x there. I did. So I factored out an x, I didn't show it. So we got 9x minus 4y cubed, cosine 2x squared y cubed. And I factored an x out of here. Like, so it becomes 6xy squared cosine 2x squared y cubed. Okay. And the last one is just a natural log. 6x plus 0. The natural log of 5xy cubed is 1. What's actually y squared? It's 1 over 5xy squared. And then you got a chain rule 5xy squared. So it's 5y squared. And times 2y times 5x. That's 10xy. And you can add in the dy dx. Okay. So what I did here, I multiplied this binomial by 1 and rewrote it as a fraction. And then I just cross multiplied and solved for dy dx. So the 30x squared y squared comes from 6x times 5xy squared. So 30x squared y squared minus 5y squared divided by 10xy. Your GCF in your numerator is 5y squared, as you see here. So 5y squared times 6x squared minus 1 over 10xy. So 5 over 10, of course, is 1/2. Y squared divided by y is just y on top and the x on the bottom. Okay. And then for that last problem, let me pull up page 6. Okay. This one is certainly more applicable. Sorry, I was just having trouble with this. Okay. This doesn't have the question, but I wrote down the tangent line runs to 3/4. So your slope is 9/4. This is your equation in point slope form. So your slope should become x squared over y. This is a pretty easy one. You got 6x squared minus 6y dy dx equals 0. Solve for dy dx. The -6 is canceled, so your slope is x squared over y. Then plug the given points in, and you get a slope of 9/4. Okay. So I'll attach these all to the site. If you have any questions, reach out to me.